Hello and welcome to the Out of Bounds Sports Podcast with this special Memorial Day edition of the show. We are live. We're going to break down the Lakers Game 5 matchup that's coming up on against Phoenix. We're also going to talk a little bit about the AD injury, but first we do have the Lakers broadcast streaming right now, so we're going to go ahead and head to that and add them to the stream. And we're just going to wait momentarily while the Lakers get ready to address the media. If we're just tuning in, we're waiting for the arrival of the coaches and the players to address the media after the Lakers practice. So it could take a little bit of time. So in the meantime, we could talk a little bit about um, the Game Five matchup against the Phoenix Sun. What broke down in Game Four? The AD injury. It's Lakers talk. So if you're available in the stream, you want to have some questions, maybe we can dialogue through the chat. But while we wait, we're just waiting right now to um, for the arrival of the coaches and players to be able to address us, ahead of this Game Five matchup against Phoenix. It feels like it's a must win, but I feel like as long as you have LeBron James and the supporting cast step up, they should be fine. Yeah, the most important thing, yes, is AD's health. I do feel like this Lakers cast should be enough to be able to get the win in Game Five. If he's going to be out past this series, then we can discuss that. But I think the Lakers have enough to be able to beat Phoenix. Now, this team does get up and down pretty quickly, up and down the floor. The Lakers are the only team, well, one of the few teams that still play traditional. That's with a big, a power forward, a small forward, a shooting guard, and a point guard. A lot of times, floor spacing and things like that. A lot of teams playing unconventional now in this new NBA. But the Lakers are one of the few teams that still play traditional. With the absence of AD, I still think that they still have enough to be able to defeat Phoenix because of their size and things like that. But they just have to use, the depth that they do have. The head scratcher that I was, kind of looking at, you know, didn't understand it was the fact that they didn't have Montrezl Harrell in, down the stretch. And he's not been playing as often as I think he should be playing. But hopefully, the Lakers do see that and that they address that need to have him because he's a great spark off the bench. I mean, I love his energy. They definitely need to explore that option, with AD being down. That's a lot of offense that they're going to be missing. That's a lot of stops that they could be missing. Um, at least, explore the option to play Montrez a little bit more. Gasol needs to play more, I do believe, but we shall see. Yeah, yeah, that's what I say. I do agree that they have enough, but I just think that the rotation is a little off to me. It's just the fact that you have Trez over there and he's not playing. Sometimes he's going the full half without even touching the floor. Yeah, he's that spark they need off the bench. I mean, this Phoenix team can bury them behind the three ball, but they can't contend with the Lakers when it comes to size and things like that. They're not going to be able to go bucket for this team. CP3 came alive. I was thinking that his shoulder was going to be bothering him in that second half, but I mean, he was getting that mid range shot, and they couldn't do anything to stop CP3. And they're just going to have to be able to get stops, and the name of the game is get more points than the opposing team. They did hold them. The defense is holding up, but they're just not scoring the basketball efficiently. I'm looking at some of the plays that they're running and you got guys missing point blank layups. I mean, things that should be naturally easy once you are in the NBA, but these shots are point blank at the rim, and they're missing them. And you just can't have that sloppy play. I mean, you're looking at some of the defensive assignments and some of the missed assignments that they do have. I mean, guys are almost wide open. It's just weak closeouts and things like that. I mean, these are just different things they're going to have to address if they're going to get out of this series alive, which I think they can. So I don't think that we should panic too much about this team advancing. But if they do plan on advancing and plan on AD missing significant time, it's going to be tough to be able to see a scenario where the Lakers will repeat the title this year. Yeah, I do. Every team is, facing injuries. It's just about, adapting. You have to adapt to certain things whenever, something comes up. We dealt with a lot of different things with the COVID, the injuries, but every team is dealing with the same thing. So we can't make the excuses, that a lot of people are making, because a lot of teams are getting it done with the injuries. You look at teams like the Brooklyn Nets. They've had, their players in and out of the rotation, but they're still, relatively good. It's about, your rotations and having your depth and things like that. Who's the next man up? But I do think that this AD injury is going to be, the test to see exactly what type of team that you have, because AD, that's a big blow, and you don't want to rush him back. Especially when you're dealing with a groin. That thing is sensitive. That thing can, pop at any time, and that's it. That's he's gone for the rest of the playoffs. So they have to be really careful about how they bring him back on and things like that. So, we'll be watching for that. But that's a good take. So we got Coach Vogel up, so we're gonna mute myself so we can hear him.
Okay, everybody, we are going to get started in one moment here. Let me just get this recording. Okay, we're ready when everyone's ready. If you raise your hands, we'll start off with Bill Orm, please.
Hey, Frank. Good to see you. Just wondering what the update on Anthony Davis might be after whatever it's been, 15 hours or so, and how he's feeling, and what the prognosis would be looking for the rest of the series.
Yeah, he had an MRI and confirmed a strained groin, and he'll be listed as questionable, but he's literally day to day. We're gonna see how he feels tomorrow. We're gonna treat him, overnight.
Recording in progress.
Get it feeling better, and we'll see where he's at tomorrow.
Okay, Dan Wicke, please.
Hey, Frank. Good to see you as well. I don't want to let Bill be the only one. Happy to see you. How close was KCP to being able to go yesterday? And then, I guess, kind of related to all of this, if AD is unable to play, you got so much of your offense has been created kind of just by his and LeBron's dominance at times, and Dennis, I suppose, too. Do you have to reimagine the way to score, I guess, if Anthony's not available?
First question. Yeah, KCP was close. He felt good shooting the ball. Had a great deal of discomfort, I should say, change directions. So he plays Tuesday, and we'll see how he runs tomorrow. And then, certainly our identity shifts if Anthony's not in there for us. We played a large chunk of our season.
Frank, good to see you as well. I was wondering what jumped out to you this season and last with how Anthony has handled any possible frustration with, numerous injuries coming up, and also his determination to try to, make the best of those circumstances and play through some of them.
Yeah. The competitors have an incredible amount of toughness the last 2 years playing through injury, and we saw that the other night when his knee wasn't feeling all that great, and he said he's going to be out there no matter what. I just think that's who he is. He's a tough competitor that's going to play through stuff.
Okay, Kyle Goon, please.
Hey, Frank, apologize for the noise. You guys had a 4-game winning streak coming out of the All-Star break, where, you guys were very successful with, just LeBron as the main guy. What is that a part of the season you look back to, a stretch where you think, if we have to go without AD tomorrow, we can look back and see what we did here?
For sure. Like I just mentioned, we did play a stretch of our season without Anthony. Not just during that 4-game stretch, but the entire stretch where Anthony was out. And a lot of lessons that we learned during that stretch. Hopefully we can draw on those experiences if we have to play without him.
Okay, Jovan, please.
Hey, Frank. I know I've asked you about the LeBron on-off stuff multiple times this season, but in the playoffs right now, it's plus 37 with him off, minus 33 with him, or plus 37 with him on, minus 33 with him off. Is there a sentiment that if AD can't go, LeBron might just have to play 40-plus minutes, and you treat it like a Game 7 where you just have to play him to his max, or kind of how do you view that with how much you guys have struggled when he's been off the floor, and then now AD won't be on as well?
Well, the first thing is, we have to win the minutes when he's off. That's the first thing. And, there's a lot of things that we look into, to try to create the right environment for those guys to succeed. And, in terms of the minutes, we're going to do whatever we need to do to win this game. That's the simplest way to put it. If he plays 48, not going to be at crunch time, where we need him fresh at crunch time. So, we'll manage it accordingly, and, we'll do everything possible to win this game.
Okay, we'll do a few more here. We'll go with Alan Sliwa, please.
Hey, Coach, obviously AD on sides of the ball. Just out of curiosity for tomorrow's game specifically, is it more of a challenge if Anthony Davis is not 100% or he's not there? Offensively, defensively, which, because he's able to do both, I guess, what to you becomes more of the challenge?
Ty. He's one of those players that dominates both sides of the ball. So we're going to miss his scoring and everything he brings to the table offensively. But what he is defensively is equally going to be missed with his rim protections, his ability to guard on the perimeter, and everything he does defensively. So we'll definitely miss him on both sides of the ball if he does not play.
Okay, last two. Go with Harrison Fagan, please.
Hey, Frank, there are a couple of clips going around on social media today of Suns players kind of giving, I guess, some extra contact after fouls were called or after uncalled fouls. I was just wondering, is that – you talked last year about taking things through the official channels if you had any problems with the officiating or anything like that. I'm not expecting you to blast the refs, but, is that something that you bring up in those kind of post-game, things that you send off to the league?
Yeah, we send things off to the league every game all year, but I'm not going to get into the nature of what the communications have looked like in the series.
Okay, and last question, we're going to go with, I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't see there. Let's see if we can do last two. We'll go with Jordan Richard and then Brian Kamenetsky. We'll start with Jordan.
Hey, Coach. Just wanted to ask you a little bit about Marc Gasol. You used him a lot at the end of the fourth. I could see it brings a lot with your spacing, especially with posting up LeBron. Just wanted to get your insight on that with spacing.
Yeah, that's what he brings. That's why we signed him, to give us a different dynamic. Somebody that can, we want to have the balance of having sort of a role threat or somebody that's effective in the dunker like Trez and Drum are, and also have a big that can space the floor. And, obviously Marc did a great job the other night. That's what he brings to the table is the ability to pull DeAndre away from the basket and then create space. So, both of those guys can be effective. and have been effective in this series. With Drum's lob threat and rolling to the basket, and Mark's ability to space the floor. Both of those guys bring something a little bit different.
Okay, and I lied. We're going to have two last questions. We're going to go with Brian Kamenetsky and then Dave McMenamin. So Brian, go ahead.
Well, thanks, Allie. Frank, you mentioned obviously, you have some tape you can go back and look at. They have tape of you guys playing without Anthony that you can go back and look at should it be necessary. But what's potentially different about sort of such a drastic potential change in the way that both, that you guys would play in a playoff series, because there is so much preparation, so much film work that goes into it. When something like this happens, how does that impact, sort of the preparation and the way you can use film and all that stuff?
It's really like every other game. You look at everything you expect to see, and you look at all your personnel and the ways you would use the guys you have available. You know what I mean? And it all falls into the bucket of studying the game and preparing for battle. And whether there's a drastic change in personnel, or if there's a drastic change in scheme or lineups that you're facing, you just study the game and you prepare. You expect to see.
All right, and last but not least, Dave McMenamin.
Hey, Frank, just a couple for you. One on Kuz. He started the second half in place of AD. How do you think he performed, and is that the direction he'll go in Game 5 if AD cannot play?
You think I'm going to give you the direction I'm going to go?
I don't, but you never know until you ask.
I'm not going to give you the direction I'm going to go in Game 5. And Kuz played well. He missed a few plays here and there, but his energy is always a positive for us. His positivity and just activity with how hard he plays is always a positive for us. So I was pleased with how he stepped up in AD's absence.
And this one's obviously a subjective type of question, but what was Anthony's mood like today when you were around him? How's he processing this groin injury?
I'd rather not get into that. I mean, these guys, they're great competitors. They're always going to say, I'm ignoring this. I'm going to be in there. You know what I mean? So, we'll just see that's what his mindset is, like any competitor. But, we'll see what the groin feels like tomorrow, and we'll make a smart decision. But he's in good spirits.
Thanks, Frank.
All right, thanks, Frank. Guys, we'll be back with Kentavious and Dennis, hopefully time permitting. We're trying to get to this plane here.
So that was head coach Frank Vogel. We had just heard from, addressing the media ahead of Game 5. We didn't really get a whole lot about the game plan and things like that, but very optimistic about AD playing beyond Game 5, because I know that they did rule him out for Game 5, a report that I did read, but Coach Vogel did not address that in his media address. But we'll be back and covering Game 5. So if you enjoy the Out of Bounds Sports Podcast, just make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We are definitely going to be covering the rest of this series. Also, make sure that you return back for the Memphis Grizzlies and the Utah Jazz series. We definitely have coverage on that, as well as all your Vegas Aces, post-game, pre-game shows, shoot-arounds, things like that. We're covering that team as well for the WNBA. But with all that being said, thank you for listening, and we are going to end the stream on that note.